Commander Vextar's dropship screamed through Earth's atmosphere like a titanium meteor, its hull glowing cherry red as it descended toward the small Midwestern town of Millfield. The bioengineered super soldier checked his tactical readouts. One final time population, 12,847, minimal military presence. Perfect testing ground for humanity's resistance capabilities. His massive frame, standing 12 feet of genetically perfected muscle and bone, barely fit in the custom-built command chair. Titanium-reinforced skeleton, neural processing implants, capable of calculating 10,000 battle scenarios per second. Reflexes enhanced beyond any organic limitation. He was the hegemony's ultimate creation, designed specifically to break primitive species like these humans. The landing crater his ship created was precisely calculated to maximize psychological impact without damaging critical infrastructure. Vextar emerged from the smoking wreckage, his combat armor gleaming in the afternoon sun, sensor arrays already mapping the approaching human response. His tactical display showed exactly what he expected. Local law enforcement approaching in primitive wheeled vehicles, small arms that couldn't penetrate his personal shields, and standard evacuation patterns as civilians fled in predictable terror. What his sensors didn't account for was the man in paint splattered overalls who came jogging up to the crater with a steaming coffee mug in one hand and what appeared to be a half-eaten sandwich in the other. "Well, I'll be damned," the human called out cheerfully, completely ignoring the 12-foot alien death machine. "You really made a mess of my neighbor's prize-winning petunias, big guy. Name's Boomer McGillicuddy. That's Captain Boomer if we're being formal. But I got kicked out of 3 different armies, so I'm not sure the title still counts." Vextar's combat algorithms immediately began analyzing this aberrant behavior. No fear response detected. No tactical positioning. The human was actually extending his hand in what the cultural database identified as a greeting gesture, completely inappropriate for a first-contact military situation. "You are designated for specimen collection and study," Vextar announced. In perfectly translated English, his voice carrying the authority of inevitable conquest. "Submit peacefully, and you will not be harmed." Boomer took a sip of his coffee and nodded thoughtfully. "Yeah, that's not going to work for me, partner. See, I was just about to test out my new potato cannon, and your timing's perfect." "Want to see something really neat?" Before Vextar could process this response, Boomer pulled out what looked like a modified smartphone and pressed a button. Behind him, a converted farm irrigation system rotated toward the crater with mechanical precision. The super soldier's threat assessment systems screamed warnings as they detected incoming projectiles, but the projectiles were ... vegetables. The first potato struck Vextar's personal shield and exploded into French fries, the superheated fragments, somehow bypassing his energy barriers and covering his armor in crispy, salted confusion. His tactical implants calculated 9,847 possible explanations for this attack pattern and found every single one of them violating basic military doctrine. "That's just the appetizer," Boomer called out, grinning like a maniac as he activated what appeared to be a pizza delivery drone armed with smoke grenades and playing the William Tell Overture at maximum volume. "Hope you brought your appetite, big guy, because this town's about to serve you up something special." Vextar's perfect tactical mind experienced its first system crash in 3 centuries of warfare as a weaponized Italian restaurant flew circles around his head, dropping calzones filled with military-grade tear gas, while a madman in overalls challenged the fundamental nature of combat itself. The invasion of Earth had begun, but somehow the humans were already winning. 3 hours into what should have been a textbook invasion, Commander Vextar found himself crouched behind an overturned ice cream truck, his advanced sensors trying to make sense of the tactical nightmare unfolding around him. His combat algorithms were running at maximum capacity, attempting to process a battlefield that violated every known principle of warfare. Boomer. McGillicuddy had somehow transformed the quiet residential neighborhood into a funhouse of military impossibilities. Garden sprinklers had been converted into automated paintball turrets that tracked movement with frightening accuracy. Children's playground equipment now served as a multi-level fortress, complete with zip lines and what appeared to be a working trebuchet made from swing-set parts. The local wildlife had been recruited into the conflict in ways that defied classification. Squirrels carried tiny cameras, providing Boomer with real-time reconnaissance while simultaneously pelting Vextar with strategically placed acorns whenever he tried to advance. A murder of crows had been trained to drop water balloons with surgical precision, and Vextar was reasonably certain he'd seen a golden retriever operating what looked like a modified leaf blower filled with glitter. "You know what your problem is?" Boomer's voice echoed from speakers hidden throughout the neighborhood, somehow bypassing Vextar's communication dampeners. "You're thinking too much. Combat's not about calculations. It's about feeling the moment." A pink tricycle rolled around the corner, and Vextar's threat assessment systems immediately flagged it as suspicious. His paranoia was justified when the seemingly innocent children's toy exploded into a cloud of rainbow smoke that spelled out "Surprise" in floating letters while playing a tinny version of "Happy Birthday." Vextar's tactical display showed his location had been tagged, marked, and somehow reviewed by what appeared to be a civilian social media network. His invasion was being live-streamed to the galaxy with commentary like "Giant Robot Man Needs to Learn How to Party," and "Someone get this alien a participation trophy." The super soldier attempted a flanking maneuver, using his enhanced speed to circle around what his sensors identified as Boomer's command position, a fold-out lawn. Chair positioned next to a barbecue grill, it was somehow also a sophisticated communications array. "Freeze, dance battle." Boomer suddenly appeared from behind a rose bush, pointing what looked like a modified megaphone at the 12-foot warrior. "You cannot pass until you show me your moves." Vextar-S implants desperately searched for the appropriate military response to this challenge and came up completely blank. The cultural database had no protocols for dance battles in the middle of armed conflict. His targeting systems locked onto Boomer, but the human was already moving not with military precision, but with an enthusiasm that made tactical prediction impossible. "Come on, big guy," Boomer shouted, performing what could generously be called dancing while somehow staying mobile enough to avoid Vextar's return fire. "You've got those fancy reflexes, show me what you've got." A boombox emerged from behind a garden gnome and began playing music that Vextar-S audio analysis classified as aggressively upbeat. The super soldier found himself paralyzed by the sheer absurdity of the situation. His perfect tactical mind, designed to process any conceivable battle scenario, had never considered the possibility of weaponized enthusiasm. Boomer spun, jumped, and somehow managed to activate 3 different booby traps while maintaining what he claimed was rhythm. Silly string erupted from modified sprinkler heads, covering Vextar-S optical sensors, while a hidden smoke machine filled the air with the scent of cotton candy. "Your move, fancy pants," Boomer called out, grinning wildly as he struck a pose. That would have been ridiculous if it wasn't somehow working as psychological warfare. Or are you going to stand there calculating all day? For the first time in his engineered existence, Commander Vextar experienced something his creators had never planned for: complete and utter bewilderment. His perfect weapon was failing against an imperfect human who treated warfare like the world's most dangerous game. Asterisk, by day 4 of the invasion, Commander Vextar had established a temporary command post in the abandoned Millfield Library, choosing the location for its strategic value and structural integrity. His advanced sensors continuously swept the perimeter, while his tactical systems analyzed the increasingly bizarre patterns of human resistance. The post-it notes had started appearing on day 2. The first one had been stuck to his armor during what Boomer called Operation Tickle Fight, a chaotic engagement involving modified feather dusters and a soundtrack of carnival music. Vexstar had discovered the small yellow square hours later, its message written in surprisingly neat handwriting. Having fun yet? Remember to stay hydrated. Your pal, Boomer. Since then, the notes had appeared everywhere. On his weapons inside, his rations somehow embedded in his tactical displays. Each one carried messages that defied military protocol and challenged Vexstar's understanding of psychological warfare. You're doing great. Gold star for trying. Read one note attached to his long-range scanner. Knock knock. Who's there? Banana. Banana who? Orange you glad I didn't say banana again. Appeared on his ammunition dispenser. Asterisk asterisk. Fun fact. Did you know humans invented the high five in 1977? Seems like important tactical information was somehow printed on his internal helmet display. Vexstar's analysis subroutines worked over time trying to decode the strategic purpose behind these messages. Were they meant to convey intelligence? Establish psychological dominance? Create operational confusion? His computers generated thousands of theories, but none of them explained why reading them made something in his chest feel ... lighter. The human appeared that afternoon during Vexstar's routine perimeter check, emerging from behind a decorative fountain with his usual inexplicable cheerfulness. Today he carried a picnic basket and wore what appeared to be a hand-knitted sweater, with "World's Okayest Invaddy" spelled out in colorful letters. Thought you might be getting hungry, Boomer called out, completely ignoring the plasma rifle, aimed at his center mass. Made some sandwiches, peanut butter and jelly, classic human comfort food. Also brought some of my mom's homemade cookies. Fair warning, though, she puts weird stuff in them like love and good intentions. Vexstar's threat assessment systems screened conflicting warnings. The basket could contain explosives, biological weapons, or advanced surveillance equipment. But his growing database of Boomer behavioral patterns suggested this was exactly what it appeared to be. Food offered without strategic purpose. This is not standard military protocol, Vexstar stated, though he didn't fire his weapon. Neither is leaving encouraging notes for your enemy, Boomer replied, settling down on the fountain's edge with casual familiarity. But here we are, breaking all kinds of rules and having a surprisingly good time. The human opened the basket and began laying out what were unmistakably sandwiches, complete with crusts cut off and little toothpicks shaped like swords. The smell was ... pleasant. Vexstar's enhanced olfactory sensors detected no toxins. No chemical warfare agents, just the simple combination of processed grain, fruit preserves, and ground legumes. Why do you persist in these illogical actions? Vexstar asked, lowering his weapon slightly. His tactical implants were running analysis routines, but for once he found himself genuinely curious about the answer rather than simply gathering intelligence. Boomer looked up from his sandwich preparation with that same maddening grin. Because you looked lonely, big guy. Been watching you for days now. All that high-tech equipment and perfect tactical positioning. But you're out here by yourself, playing the world's longest game of hide and seek. Figured you might want some company. I am a bioengineered weapon designed for maximum combat efficiency. I do not experience loneliness. Sure you don't, Boomer agreed cheerfully, holding out a sandwich. Just in case your programming is wrong about that, the offer stands. Plus, these cookies really are incredible secret ingredient is cinnamon, and the crushing realization that your kids grew up too fast. Despite every logical protocol screaming against it, Vexstar found himself stepping closer to examine this impossible human, who treated intergalactic warfare like a neighborhood barbecue. Asterisk. Commander Vexstar's morning tactical briefing was interrupted by the most terrifying sound he had encountered since arriving on Earth. The gentle sizzle of meat cooking over an open flame, accompanied by human laughter and what his audio sensors classified as aggressively friendly conversation. Through his scope, he observed an impossible scene unfolding in Boomer McGillicuddy's backyard. At least 30 humans had gathered around a primitive cooking apparatus, engaging in what appeared to be a coordinated food preparation ritual. Children ran between the adults with high-pitched vocalizations that registered as joy rather than distress. Elderly humans sat in portable chairs, contributing to the group dynamic through storytelling and what seemed to be competitive food critique. Neighborhood barbecue. Boomer's voice carried across the distance, somehow detecting Vexstar's observation despite his advanced stealth systems. Perfect timing, big guy. Come on over. Mrs. Patterson brought her famous potato salad and Jerry's, attempting to grill vegetables without burning down the county. Vexstar's tactical analysis immediately cataloged this as an obvious trap. The gathering created perfect kill zones, overlapping fields of fire, and centralized targets for maximum efficiency. His enhanced reflexes prepared for the inevitable ambush while his weapons systems powered up for defensive engagement. Instead, a small human juvenile approached his position carrying what appeared to be a primitive projectile weapon. Vexstar. Targeting systems locked onto the threat until his cultural database identified the object as a water pistol and the approaching figure as a child approximately 7 years of age. Mom says you should come eat with us, the child announced with the fearless authority unique to young humans. She made extra hamburgers because Boomer said you are really big and probably really hungry. The super soldier's combat algorithms experienced another processing error. Children were not typically deployed in military operations, yet this one showed no fear despite facing a 12-foot bioengineered weapon. The young human even had the audacity to grab Vexstar's armored hand with sticky fingers that smelled like fruit juice and adventure. My name's Katie, the child continued, tugging at his arm with surprising determination. Boomer taught us how to play hide-and-seek with aliens. Want to see my fort? I made it myself out of couch cushions and determination. Against every tactical instinct, Vexstar allowed himself to be led toward the gathering. His sensors detected no weapons beyond the food preparation implements, no strategic positioning beyond optimal picnic table arrangement, no tactical advantage beyond what appeared to be carefully planned hospitality. Boomer met them halfway, still grinning that impossible grin while balancing a plate loaded with cooked meat and various vegetable preparations. Katie, you found our guest. Excellent work. Vexstar, this is the real reason Earth sent me instead of proper military. We don't fight wars. We have cookouts and make people feel welcome. The assembled humans turned toward Vexstar with expressions. His emotion recognition software cataloged it as pleased anticipation rather than fear or hostility. An elderly female approached carrying additional food items while making vocalizations his translator rendered as concerned about his nutritional intake. Sit anywhere you like, dear, she said, patting a chair that had clearly been reinforced to handle his enhanced frame. Though you might want to try the corn salad first. It's got that secret ingredient that makes everything better. What secret ingredient? Vexstar asked, genuinely curious despite his tactical training. Caring about people, Boomer replied, settling into his own chair with casual familiarity. Turns out it's humanity's greatest weapon. We don't conquer worlds, we invite them over for dinner and make them part of the family. As Vexstar cautiously accepted the offered food, his advanced sensors detected something his creators had never programmed him to recognize the unique chemical signatures of a species that had weaponized kindness, militarized compassion, and turned basic human decency into an unstoppable force for peaceful conquest. For the first time since his creation, the perfect weapon began to understand why Earth had sent a madman with a smile. Asterisk. The Galactic Council's observers arrived expecting to document humanity's swift defeat, and instead found Commander Vexstar sitting in a lawn chair, wearing a hand-knitted sweater that read, "Honorary Earthling," helping Katie McGillicuddy build what she insisted was the galaxy's best blanket fort. Counselor Zethek, a being of crystalline logic and mathematical precision, materialized via hologram with barely contained outrage. "Commander Vexstar, report your status immediately." "Why? Haven't you completed the subjugation protocols?" Vexstar looked up from where he was carefully adjusting a pillow to optimize the fort's structural integrity. His massive frame somehow managed to look sheepish. "Counselor, I have discovered that humanity possesses a weapon system far more advanced than our intelligence indicated." "What weapon system?" Zethek demanded. "Our scans show no energy signatures, no defensive installations, no military capabilities beyond primitive chemical projectiles. They have weaponized friendship," Vexstar announced with the gravity of someone reporting a galaxy-ending discovery. "Also, they taught me how to play charades, and I believe I may be developing what they call emotional attachments." Boomer emerged from the house, carrying a tray loaded with beverages and wearing an apron that proclaimed him Grill Sergeant. Behind him followed a parade of humans bearing the afternoon's tactical offerings: fresh lemonade, homemade cookies, and what appeared to be a custom-made chair designed to accommodate crystalline life forms. "You must be the infamous Galactic Council," Boomer announced cheerfully. "Perfect timing. We were just about to start the dessert offensive. Hope you brought your appetite for fun." Counselor Zethuk's holographic form flickered with what his species experienced as intense confusion. "This is highly irregular. Commander Vexstar, you were designed as the ultimate weapon. You cannot simply abandon your mission for ... for a potluck dinner and community game night," Vexstar supplied helpfully. "Also, Mrs. Patterson taught me to knit. I have discovered that creating useful items through repetitive hand movements induces what humans term therapeutic relaxation." A super soldier held up his latest project, a scarf approximately 15 feet long and decorated with small embroidered explosions. "It is for my new friend Jerry. His current neck covering is inadequate for the approaching cold season." Katie McGillicuddy tugged at Vexstar's leg armor. "Tell them about the surprise." "Ah, yes," Vexstar nodded solemnly. "Counselor, I must inform you that I am formally requesting reassignment to Earth's diplomatic corps. The humans have offered me what they call citizenship in exchange for helping them improve their lawn care techniques and teaching their children advanced mathematics through interpretive dance." Boomer stepped forward, still grinning that impossibly infectious grin. "See, here's the thing about us humans. We don't believe in enemies. Just friends we haven't had over for dinner yet. Your boy Vexstar here? Turns out he makes incredible barbecue sauce and tells the best bedtime stories in 3-star systems. Also," added Mrs. Patterson, adjusting her glasses as she addressed the stunned council, "he's been helping with the community garden. Has anyone ever told you that titanium-enhanced strength is excellent for composting?" The crystalline counselor's form pulsed with rapidly shifting colors, a sign of extreme cognitive stress in his species. "This is ... This is not how invasions work. There are protocols, strategic objectives, measurable outcomes." "Oh, we measured plenty," Boomer replied cheerfully. Vexstar's happiness levels increased by 347% since he started attending our weekly book club. "That's a measurable outcome, right?" Vexstar nodded enthusiastically. The humans have introduced me to something called science fiction. It is quite entertaining to read about fictional alien invasions while participating in actual peaceful cultural exchange. As the sun set over Millfield, the defeated soldier helped his adopted human family clean up after another successful day of aggressive hospitality. The Galactic Council retreated to reconsider their understanding of warfare, while Earth's secret weapon, a madman named Boomer who had turned friendship into an unstoppable force, prepared for tomorrow's most dangerous mission, teaching an alien death machine how to make pancakes. Sometimes the greatest victories came not from superior firepower, but from superior heart. And humanity, it turned out, had plenty of both.